So it's all to play for still.
I think so. Do you want to bet against us?
Hi, villains, and welcome to For the Love of Paul McGrath podcast. And wanted to come back with a very quick one and somebody that will have been linked with tentatively, tenuously, whatever way you want to call it. Who knows whether we will sign him, but it's a right back, and as Raoul Bellanova of Torino. And to be honest with you, a much travelled player so far in his short 24 years as a professional footballer. And we're going to take a little look at him. Exciting, but also has his areas which will need refining and finesse as well, specifically in the defensive game. But let's take a little look at him and see what we can ascertain from Raoul Bellanova of Torino. So I suppose realistically speaking, you know, his career arc so far has been I mentioned that, you know, he's played with quite a lot of teams. He was started off in the AC Milan system, moved then from AC Milan to Bordeaux at the age of 19. In 2019-2020, he played one game for them. Then he moved on from Bordeaux to on loan. He went on numerous loans, myriad loans there. He went to Atlanta in 2020, where he played one league game. He went on to Pescara also, where he played 31 games in Serie B as a 21-year-old, as a 20-year-old, sorry, should I say. Went on to play with Pescara. Then he moved on loan to Cagliari, where he played 31 games in Serie A. He scored one goal that year as well as a 21-year-old. Then he moves on loan to Inter Milan, where he plays. He moves on loan to Inter Milan, where he plays 3 games in the Champions League and plays 1 game in the Coppa Italia and 18 games in Serie A. And then from there, he moves to Torino, and it's easy he moves to Torino on a full transfer in 2023-24, where this current season he played 39 games, scoring 1 goal and assisting 7. So he's had quite the moves around. Around the houses since he's started his career. Almost every single year he's played with a completely different team, save for 2021 to 2023 when he played with Cagliari. So and even at that time he was loaned out by Cagliari to Inter Milan. So a lot of bed hopping going on there. Happens quite a lot in Serie A, whereby teams will buy players, loan them out to bigger teams. Bigger teams then will obviously have them in their squads and then pay a premium. There's also joint ownership issues with regards to players, and not issues, but joint ownership capabilities with regards to players in Serie A, joint rights ownerships and so on. I'm not 100% sure what went on with this guy, but he moves around quite a bit. Don't think it seems to be, it's not an indictment of his performances per se. It's an indictment, I suppose, of how you need to continually be playing football in Serie A to become relevant. And he has become relevant because all the way through his career, from an Italian under 15 all the way up to the current Italian full national team at the moment, he has been capped. 21 caps for the under 21s, 10 caps for the under 20s, 21 caps for under 19s, 27 caps for the under 17s, and 1 solitary cap coming in 2024, coming this year for the Italian national team as well. So an interesting player, and a player that I think is going to throw up a few more questions than he will answers when we do take a little look at him, when we take a look at what his strengths are, because a lot of people are going to see the defensive ability and go, right back, not having great defensive numbers, but we need to look at everything in context. We need to look at potentials, what Unai Emery is going to do. You know, we need to look forward and see what kind of tactical flexibility Unai Emery is going to want to implement as well. But Raoul Bellanova is somebody that is sought after. You know, Inter Milan wanted to take a chance on him, and they did take a chance on him. He's played 119 professional games so far in his career. Manchester United are interested in him. There's also a host of other English teams interested in him. Aston Villa seem to have sent scouts to look at him on numerous cases this year as well. But what he is really is as I said, he made his debut for Cagliari in 2018, and he quickly established himself in that Serie A team after playing in Serie B for Pescara. But in 2020, he signed, as I say, for Inter Milan, and but he signed on loan for Inter Milan, should I say? And then, you know, he's kind of moved and shaken from there on in, impressing various different managers, and I suppose he's been asked to do an awful lot of different things, and that's what's giving him a bit more of a rounded sense, or a rounded uh, level of capability, I think, is what I would describe him as. Albeit currently he is displaying one over the other, should I say. Widely regarded as one of the most promising right young backs in Italy, has had to try and force his way past another person that Aston Villa have been linked to it previously in Gio Di Lorenzo as well, and a couple of other right backs there. So Italy are well stocked in the right back position. And also, I will say that the elephant in the room with Bellanova is the fact that Torino play a three at the back and a wing back system. Bellanova has really been in that wing back system, providing that width for Torino and being that and being that that the outlet for them on out wide, because as I say, Torino typically play a 3-4-2-1 situation. They want to focus on attacking play, but they needed to stay compacted back because they were a team that was going to need to soak up an awful lot of pressure. Torino were also known for a strong counter-attacking style, using pace, using skill to try and exploit on the gaps, and that's something that Bellanova is really good at as well. He's 6'1/6'2", so he gives good height, but he's really nimble and he's exceedingly quick when you see him get up and down that right wing as well. And that's what Torino relied on. They relied on their wing backs to provide that width and to create those scoring opportunities. And with 7 assists last season, I think it's fair to say that Raoul Bellanova did that and did that to a great aplomb, considering that he played, 39 games, I think, for Torino last season, and excelled for them as well. So with regards to Bellanova, as I said there, you can see when you watch him. I watched when Torino beat AC Milan 3-1 towards the end of the season. I think it was 2 weeks ago. I watched that game, and Bellanova got an assist in that game, and I thought he was really good. He looked dynamic. He was your quintessential attacking wing back. And bear that in mind that I have said that I think Unai Emery does want at times to play 3 at the back. And to play wing back situations for Aston Villa. I think there will be times where he wants to be able to manipulate and go to that kind of a system when we need to in certain games. I don't think he's married to a certain system. I think that we've seen him try to play that in games this year. We've seen him play Matty Cash at that right wing position. If you were to bring in somebody like Bellanova into that right wing position, he's a lot more comfortable in there as well, like he has done at times this season. It may be something we may look at in situations maybe in the Champions League where we're looking to soak up a small bit more pressure if we were to sign somebody like this. Because I do think that he does need a bit of work on his defensive ability. But once again, the statistics, when we will look at them in a moment, they are heavily skewed by what he was asked to do with Torino, and he was asked to be that outlet in that right side. So when you see it here in a moment, I have marked him down as a right back, right wing back / right winger, because I think he could be manipulated, or he can transcend any of those positions. And let's bring this up here, because it'll make a small bit more sense when we look at, you know, his statistics there with regards to defensive statistics, and also looking at his heat map there where we can see it. Starting position was very high, which to me is interesting, considering that you play him at right back, playing in that high line. He does offer that ability to get up and down the field. Playing as a wing back as well, you know, will offer us that ability to be able to be a bit more compact in midfield, to press a small bit higher and harder in midfield as well, and to allow him to be able to break forward if we were to play a 3 at the back, with Konza being that right-sided centre half. I'm not saying that we go to 3 at the back all the time, but in transitions is what I'm talking about here. That if you have Mario Hermoso comes into the team and he's playing at that left back and he tucks in, and then you've got a central partnership of, let's just say, Pau Torres and an Ezri Konza, or Tyrone Mings and Ezri Konza, or Tyrone Mings and a Pau Torres. That gives you this freedom to be able to allow Bellanova to attack up that right-hand side as well, and he can be a ball carrier there too, as we will see with regards to the dribbles completed here. But as I say, looking at his map there, gets to the byline, is able to cross that ball, kind of like what Alex Moreno can do on the left hand side, or did in the previous season on that left hand side. Gives us that option, that ability to be able to go forward in that way. As I say, he is lightning quick. This guy is really, really quick player. 6'1", 6'2". He's all athleticism, and it's brilliant to see. That pace and that overlapping threat. If we do want Leon Bailey to cut inside a little bit more, to have that ability to get up and down that line, to be able to pin defenders back, to stop teams from allowing. So another instance that this could be very beneficial is, you want to stop teams from bringing their fullbacks into that central midfield position. You want to keep them honest, to flood that central midfield position, a la Spurs were doing at the start of the season with Emerson Royal. Cucurella was doing for Chelsea at the end of the season. John Stones has done it. Nathan Ake has done it. Teams are doing this because they're flooding that midfield position, because they're trying to create that overload in there, so that you have to come compact yourself as well, and you cannot go wide. And if you have a situation where maybe you've got Bailey that comes into the centre here, and you've got this guy who's athletic enough to get up and down that right hand side, and has the pace and power to be able to do so, well then, that's going to force them to be a small bit more judicious and diligent in making sure they have somebody covering that position. So that's something that I could see Bellanova doing or being involved with. A superb crosser of the ball. Bellanova is a really, really, really good crosser of the ball. Now, that to me is, we've spoken about why cross the ball in when we don't score an awful lot from headers. That might be a sign that potentially, other strikers coming in, maybe a supplemental conversation for a complete different day. But having somebody who can cross the ball really well from the right-hand side, if we keep a Luca Dean on that, and bear in mind that this guy can go to the baseline, or he can go to the, or he can cross from that Akmal Mohammadi position as well. He's just a really, really good crosser of the ball. It diversifies our attack onto that right-hand side, because we've not really been very good at crossing from the right-hand side to the level that we have from the left-hand side with Luca Dean. Very much with Matty Cash, we have worked it out slowly until we've been able to cross that ball. And with Leon Bailey, we know he doesn't cross the ball; he attacks that box. So having this overlap situation here once again, and this guy's ability to be able to cross from deep or to cross from the byline is very important. I think it would be very important for the club to be able to do that too. Also, like I've seen him be a very solid defender. I've seen him defend solidly. The only thing is he wasn't tasked with being that guy. They were able to go over him an awful lot because of where he was played as that wing-back defender. Teams were able to go over him, drag out a centre half into that position, and he was on the back foot going backwards. I'm going to go on record and say that isn't his fault. That's a manipulation of the way that Torino played. But what we can see here is that very competent in tackling defenders, tackling dribblers, should I say. Very, very competent when he has that ball at his feet, or when he does go into the tackle, that he does not lose that tackle. You can see that there. He only lost 0.38 tackles per 90 minutes. Now, granted that he made very few tackles per game because of where he was played, and he was forced with pressuring the ball an awful lot more and getting in around and creating a higher press as that wing back, which he was very adept at doing. And we can see that with his heat map here as well. I think that's really, really important to highlight here as well. Looking at his passing game, pass completion statistics there. Once again, he was more or less being utilized as a winger when he was in possession, as a wing back out of possession. But his shot creating actions, his key passes, and his goal creating actions are right up there. And that's something that Unai Emery is really going to want from fullbacks, from wide players. And I suppose he wants to get that, kind of like what I spoke about with Matheus Sule previously. He's going to want those goal creating actions, those shot creating actions from all around the field, and not allow us to be hemmed in and penned in certain areas that we can't get out of them. So, I think there's a lot to be said for Bellanova. I think, the fact that he's a real athlete that can get up and down that side of the field, bringing him in with Nedeljkovic might be like, that might solidify that right-hand side for years to come, because lots of people have said that, Raoul Bellanova may not be a right back. He may end up being a right midfielder, and that's cool too. They've also said Nedeljkovic may not end up being a right back full-time. He might be a Branislav Ivanovic type, go into a right centre-back role. And having these young moldable players, I think, is something that Unai Emery will really, really like and will really, really want to have within his squad. Because I think, like it's been reported an awful lot that we have scouted him. So I think there is probably some interest in him. And whether we sign him or not, I don't know. But I think he's attacking style of play. The fact that he's able to contribute to goals and assists would be invaluable to this team to try and break down defenses when needed. And also the versatility, I think, will fit into an Emery's system, because he will be able to utilize him in various different scenarios and positions, kind of like what he tried to do with Matty Cash at times this season. And as we can see here, with regards to the more creative aspect of the game, he is better there, albeit the defensive statistics look low. Remember, just because you've got low tackle numbers doesn't mean you aren't making good tackles. So what you want to do is you want to look at the tackle numbers there, which are low at only 1.11 tackles per game. You look at those in context with regards to how many of those he has lost and how many of those are on dribblers, and it paints a different story of somebody who is able to defend but wasn't put in the position to defend as much as a traditional right back would have been when he played with Torino as well. So that's it. That's Raoul Bellanova. I think a really interesting study, I think, to a type of player that Unai Emery might want. If this comes off, we will come back and talk a small bit more about him. Interesting player, somebody who's well vaulted within Italian football, and lots of teams are taking looks at him to see if they want to sign him, I suppose, in this off-season, and only time will tell whether we do the same. But thank you so much, everybody, for watching and for listening. Hope you really have enjoyed it. We'll be back. I'm going to do another piece on Gio Di Lorenzo, another right back from Napoli, and another more traditional right back, Italian right back from Napoli. We'll do one of those and have that out maybe later on tonight or even tomorrow as well. But in the meantime, everybody, thank you so much for watching, and I hope you enjoyed it. And in the meantime, stay safe, stay healthy, and all that's left to say is up the villa.